Hello guys, shooting for fun here. Today we're going to do something a little different on our basic disassembly and cleaning videos here. We're going to talk about something that actually very rarely does get cleaned for the most part, and that's our magazines. We normally, as avid shooters, we tend to clean our guns, but most of the time most people don't clean their magazines. Okay? And this isn't something that they don't get really filthy dirty, as much, but it is something that does need to get cleaned every once in a while. So what we're going to do is we're going to show a couple of basic ones here that we have, and then most of them are pretty much, once you get a couple down there, they're all pretty much similar. So what we have here is we have a Glock 17 mag. Now this mag will fit in several different guns. Glock 17, 19, 34, 26. It's pretty universal 17 round magazine. It's 9mm. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our bullets out and make it safe, right? Okay. Now if you noticed, if you actually counted those there as I took them out, there was only 15 shots. Now what I do is I don't usually fill in the whole thing and compress that spring completely. So what I did was, it's a 17 round mag, I put 15 rounds in it. Okay, that way you still got a little spring compression there rather than forcing that spring all the way down hard. Now there's only a few little components to these guys. There's the end cap that holds it all in place there. There's a little button, what I call a button plate. That's the release for it. You have your spring that runs the inside there, and you have your follower. And they call that a follower because as you load it, and then as these shells come out, it follows the bullet up, right? Okay, now on these Glocks, it's kind of a little tricky process here. Now you can use the standard Glock tool that comes with most of the Glocks there. It's just a little bitty punch like tool that comes with the Glocks. What I use is a pretty much a standard, just a little small screwdriver here. And what you do is you push that button in, you push it in far enough, and then you push down. Some of these go down easy, some of them go down hard. And you just pop it down, and you'll see, if you can see there, it just notched it down a little bit. Okay. Now what you want to do is, as you carefully slide that off, you want to hold your thumb up over that, because you don't want that plate and that spring just flying out on you. Okay, you pull your end cap out. Here's our little button plate that locks the end cap in. And we have our spring with the follower on there. Now all of these mags, if you get these Glock mags, all of these parts are going to be pretty much all the same. So if you wanted to do all your magazines at once, you can just put them in like a little tub of like warm soapy water. It's just the plastic and just the metal spring. You just want to make sure that when you reassemble it, make sure you get all your water and moisture off of it before you reassemble it. Get it dried off good. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little rag here. We're just going to wipe down. Basically all you're going to have is maybe some dust and some gunshot residue. You just want to wipe your spring down good. And on most of the occasions when I clean my guns, I do clean the magazines as I'll clean this follower off, because that's the part where it's going to get the main part of your dirt. And then what you can do is you can take a little bit of your bore cleaner or your rim oil spray, spray a little bit up in there, and like I said, you could do this, or you could just run through a sink there with your warm soapy water. And we'll just pull that rag through. We just want to make sure we want to get it wiped out good, get any dirt, dust. And get our magazine really clean. Now as we reassemble, you want to make sure that your follower gets pushed in the right way there. Here's a little button plate. It just sets up on there and you just kind of hold it in place with your thumb. You just want to push it down here. And you put your end cap. And it'll just slide back up on there, and that button, make sure that button goes in place and make sure that your end cap does not come back off. Now once you do this, you can reload your magazine. Now some of these are, once you start getting up above 10, they start getting a little harder, you know, because that spring is compressing. That's why normally I'll use the little speed loaders, which is just a little plastic piece that slides over the magazine and pushes the bullets down for you unless you're able to slide it in yourself. And here we go. We're back to our loaded magazine. Now I wanted to show you a couple of others. This is a Taurus PT92 magazine. It's also similar to the Beretta 92 magazine. If you notice, it's similar to the Glock. It's got the little release button there that you push in. You slide your end cap off, your spring and your follower will come out. So it's very similar to the Glock. And this is also an actual 18-round magazine. And the one thing I like about the Glocks and most of them is they've got the little indicators here on the back. As you put the shells in, you can see what number of shells you have in there. Okay. Now this is our next one we're going to do. This is our Smith & Wesson 22 compact magazine. And it's similar. It's got the little button there with the end cap. Right? Now the one thing different that this one's got is it's got our little follower here, has a little lever attached to it. And what that does is that makes it easier loading in. Instead of having to push the bullet in, push the next one in, push it down, slide it in and stuff. This one you can actually pull down. You can see if I do that, it compresses that spring and it makes it a lot easier to load. Okay, that's with our 22s. Okay, and we're going to show you how to take that one apart and clean that one as well. And this one is a MP9 Shield magazine. It's the same metal thing with the plastic end cap. Now this one has, if you can see it there, it's got a plastic, a little square button in there. And it does the same thing. You push that button in, you slide that end cap off. And you want to make sure that you always take your bullets out to make your magazine safe there. and you got your spring, and you got your follower in there. So all these magazines are basically similar. You know, they're all have the same basic parts. They're just a little bit different in design for each gun. But once you do one of them there, you'll get familiar with it, and it'll make it a lot easier to do. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our bullets out of our magazine here. Now this is a 10 round magazine. It is the 22 long rifle. And we see that slide, and as we pull that slide down, right, it compresses that spring. Okay. Now this one, we're going to do the same way. You push that button in, you pop that end cap down. You want to hold your thumb over that as you slide this off, because you don't want that spring and that thing just flying out, right? Now, there's our end piece with our button there. And it also has a little piece that holds the spring. This one's just a little round spring. There's our... Now this one, because the follower has that little handle, we slide it up here to the end. Our handle comes off. And here's our follower. Okay, and what we want to do is we want to take our rag, and you can use your spray, or you can use your, like I said, these are just plastic parts there, except for the spring and the casing, which is all metal. And you can just wipe it off, or you can use some soapy water. Make sure all your... And basically what you're doing is you're just getting any dirt, dust, lint, gunshot residues. They could cause your your magazines to stick and maybe not move forward, and it could cause you a misfire. Okay. Then here again, what you want to do is run that up through there good, make sure that's good and clean. And then you want to reassemble. Okay, now what I do is I put the follower in, push it up to where the hole is here. Okay, I got my slide back in on it. Put it up here to where I can see the round part of the follower there, and I'll push that in with the spring. I'll put my end cap on there with the button piece there. You compress that spring a little bit. And once you get that in there, oops, you gotta be careful there, it falls out. And then we'll take that end cap, and it slides back over and locks back into place. You want to make sure that that button does catch that. You hear a little snap when it goes back in. Then you want to work your follower. There's your follower there. Okay, there's our magazine. And we're back in business here. Now normally when I just clean the magazines, is I'll just, run a Q-tip across the top of this and clean it off real good, because that is the majority of where your residue and stuff will take place. Okay? But like I said, every once in a while, maybe once a year, every couple of years, depending upon how often you shoot, you do want to take these apart and clean them, because it can create problems with the feeding of your bullets if that ejector You know, if it sticks because of dirt and moisture and residue buildup, oil from the bullets and things like that and it may stick and not load your next shell and could cause you some misfires. So that's something that you want to also, make sure that you do get a good cleaning on those. I would say at least once a year, once every couple of years, depending upon how you shoot it. I'm sure there's some out there that's had a gun 15, 20 years and has never cleaned the magazine. They always clean the gun, but they never clean the magazine. Okay. So here's what I do is I'll sit there with the one hand and I'll push down on this to compress that spring, and I'll push my bullet back in. Then I'll compress the spring, I'll push the next one in. As you can compress that spring, it's a whole lot easier to load. Alright, and we got our 10 rounds back in there. Okay. And that's how we do our magazines. Okay. Well, my mom makes sure there's, because the bullets do have some oil and things on those, they do get dirty. Right? And as you handle it, you get the oil and grease and stuff from your hands, so they do get dirty. Not as much as your gun, from the firing of the bullets, but like I said, this is a good little practice to get into. It doesn't happen often. You could pick one day a year that you just spend the afternoon just cleaning your mags, and then you don't have to do it for another year or two, But we wanted to show you basic disassembly and cleaning of your magazines as well. Happy shooting, guys. Shooting for fun. Thanks for watching.